Now this ardent purity allows them to access a secret place where the cultivation of evil proceeds in exponential fashion, and with it, the furtherance of evil's resulting power. This place of power is tangible, and as such, it can be found, entered, and perhaps utilized in some fashion. The dogmas have many names for them, but chief among them is the Black Lodge.
Welcome to the Rewatchers in the Lodge, where we watch Twin Peaks, and before we watched another show. And my name is Tyler Harris, with
Marcus Marinos.
My name is Tyler McKinley.
Riley Harris.
Justin Hammer.
And this is our last episode. Just kidding. It's not. It's really not. We have a lot more to go. But this week we watched 3 more episodes of the delightful early 90s romp that is Twin Peaks. We watched episodes 18, 19, and 20 of Season 2. Episode 18 originally aired April 4th, 1991, written by Harley Peyton and Robert Engels, and directed by a podcast favorite, Dwayne Dunham. Episode 19 aired April 11th, 1991, written by Mark Frost and Harley Peyton, and directed by Jonathan Sanger. And episode 20 aired April 19th, 1991, written by Harley Peyton and Robert Engels, and directed by Stephen Gyllenhaal. And Mitchell is absent again, so I'm going to go ahead and give us the summary of everything that happened in these 3 episodes
Mitchell's
of Twin
only
Peaks.
got like 2 more episodes before he has to do makeup work, right?
True. Yes. So, in these episodes of Twin Peaks, Eckart's assistant wants to make Truman's death really special, but then Truman wakes up and beats her up. Audrey and John flirt. Cooper tells Truman that Eckart wanted him dead because he's jealous of his D getting that V. Dale shares a surefire hangover cure with Truman. Josie sends Truman a spy microphone. Gordon Cole is here. Wyndham worked on Project Blue Book. Gordon yells so loudly into the microphone that no one knows it's a microphone. Cooper is rehired by the FBI. Wyndham Earl performs the world's most expository card trick. Donna follows her mom to the Great Northern, where Audrey and Donna both spy on their parents. Eileen Hayward wants Ben to take his letter back rather than just throwing them away for some reason. Looks like Mama Hayward ain't over Ben Horn just yet. Shelley Johnson gives Gordon his hearing back, and he writes an epic poem about pies. Cooper and Annie flirt, and Annie drops info about Al Cave. James sends Donna a postcard telling her he is on his way to Mexico. Don't tell Mexico, or they may try to build a giant wall to make us pay for it. Audrey runs into Wyndham Earl at the library. Annie and Shelley talk about boys. Andy spelunks into non-existence. Ben sends Audrey to Seattle, protecting her virginity for at least 1 more day. The sheriff's department arrive at Al Cave, and Andy Mr. Magoo's his way into solving some complex puzzle. Cooper is talking to Diane again. Annie and Coop drink together. Wyndham Earl swoops into Al Cave like the Nazis after Indiana Jones makes a huge discovery. The sheriff's department returns to find Al Cave has a lot more pictures now. Wyndham Earl explains the black and white lodges to Leo and some cartoon character who just wants beer. Pete writes an epic poem about Josie. Catherine has a box. Bobby has another plan to exploit Shelley. Lana Milford wants to win the Miss Twin Peaks pageant. Cooper learns about the epic poem that Wyndham sent to the girls and deduces that Leo wrote it down. Briggs has seen the Al Cave painting in a dream. Dick Tremaine plays the victim. Wyndham Earl kills the character that no one cares about. Ben Horn wants to make the pageant about the environment for totally normal, not self-serving reasons at all. Hey, his ideas have merit. I also read that. Mike explains the sexual benefits of super strength to Bobby. Pete, Mr. Magoo's his way into the solution to the puzzle box, at least part of it. Cooper and Annie go on a lake date, and Wyndham Earl finds his 4th queen. Dick hosts a wine tasting. Gordon Cole shows Bobby a front 3/4 view of 2 adults sharing a tender moment. Jack Wheeler and Coop discuss love. Donna confronts her mom. The sheriffs find a big box, and Cooper devises a questionable method of opening it. Andy upstages the victim's friend. Lucy announces D-Day and wants to talk about the environment. John Justice Jack Wheeler is leaving Twin Peaks. Doc Hayward confronts Ben Horn. Donna finds her incomplete birth certificate, which might be the most soap opera ass clue in this show so far. Cooper needs to talk to the queens. Briggs steals some old Project Blue Book footage, and Wyndham Earl introduces the world to Dugpas. People's hands be shaken. Everyone is preparing for the pageant. Cooper deduces that all of the queens have had contact with Wyndham Earl. Leo hurts himself trying to hurt Wyndham. Pete Pete helps Audrey chase down Jack. Wyndham Earl chases down Major Briggs. Cooper and Annie flirt. Audrey catches Jack at the last minute, and he makes love with her. Wyndham interrogates Briggs. Andrew Packard cracks the box code and finds a giant hunk of metal. Cooper and Annie dance, and he sees the giant. Wyndham Earl Dr. Magoo's his way into a solution to the Owl Cave puzzle, and Bob is back, or wasn't gone, or had to run an errand, but he's back. That's it. That's all the things.
You made me realize how much poetry were in these 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Lots of different poetry.
Lots of poetry. That's where we're at, where the writers of Twin Peaks love Shakespeare and poetry and wish they were writing a different show. Apparently. It's what it feels like, at least. Yeah.
Feels
man.
good to hear you do the summary again.
Oh, thank you.
It's like putting on an old jacket. I heard that. What was
Yeah.
that?
It's the best feeling.
Putting on an old jacket and finding a $10 bill in the
yeah.
pocket.
There you go.
That's how it was.
That's it.
That's what it was like.
And that bag of drugs that you thought you'd lost
Yeah.
or did already.
But, I mean, it's not your favorite jacket, you know?
Right.
It's like
just
the one...
comfortable.
Yeah, it's comfortable.
Yeah.
But you...
Like, you're not going to get laid in it.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you probably only want to wear it like once a year.
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
That's what you're reading the summary is like. The jacket we get laid in is when Marcus reads it.
I don't know
Got
about that.
glow references going through my head again. The jacket that What's Her Face gets for giving the other girl a yeah.
Yeah.
We'll just leave it at that.
Oh, man. We in a couple weeks, we're going to have a lot of glow to talk
Sounds
about. 'cause
good.
there's
Yeah,
gonna be more.
I
I'm so
just
excited.
finished it, so you know.
Anyways, what do you guys want to talk about in these episodes? There's a lot. It's definitely. I do feel like with these episodes, they rein everything in a little bit, and they definitely feel a little more focused. They do the old empty Wentz trick with the pageant of just placing dumb bullshit at the beginning of like a lot of scenes. So you're like, oh yeah, that pageant is happening. Everyone's talking about the pageant, which I mean is, I think, by all accounts, the best part of Twin Peaks and exactly what you wanted to see was a beauty pageant.
Yeah.
With all of these, that all of the women are forced to participate in,
No one wants to
either
do
just
it.
by peer pressure or direct pressure from people who claim to love them. Whatever. So yeah, I guess what do you guys want to start with? We should start by apologizing to Katie, because last week I was like, that girl didn't get in bed with Truman. It was very clearly Ben Horn, and it was absolutely 100% Truman. So
You've seen the show before.
yeah, but I think I've told you these episodes. They're hard to get through, and when I'm not being forced to watch them, I might skip them. And honestly, I did not remember at all that Thomas Eckert gave 2 shits about Truman in any way.
Yeah. I
But sexual jealousy is a
talk
powerful
about
motivator
that
for violence.
because that was fucking weird.
Yeah.
Where she's like, she comes in the room, like, when he laid, like, she started taking off her clothes and laid down with him, I was like, oh my gosh, Truman's, like, in on some shit and was, like, evil. But then it's like, no, she got all sexy to kind of start having some foreplay with him just to end up killing him when she could have just killed him in his sleep.
Yeah, and did she drug him? Like, she put something on her lips and his lips, which I'm not entirely sure what that was. But then he was hallucinating Josie.
It was a
which-
Josie hallucination drug.
yeah, it was Josie sweat.
That was
Thomas
really
Eckert
hot
kept
in the
fridge.
90s.
But at the same time, she was like, you know, I could use a hallucination of my own. He's not that
Right.
good looking.
I need to see Thomas Eckert.
And then at the beginning, it pans across that one dude she just killed, maybe, or knocked out. Like,
Who knows?
because that's the episode started, and I kind of had forgotten about that. And I was like, "Who the fuck is that? Like, what is going on?"
Oh, yeah,
No one
it
ever
doesn't matter.
mentions it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that one dude was killed. Another murder. We've been getting a lot of those lately.
Yeah.
It wasn't involved with a chess piece, so it's not as important.
No one cares.
It wasn't decided in the world's slowest game of chess, so who gives a shit? But yeah, all that stuff. I will say that conversation with Coop afterwards, where he uses the term sexual jealousy, is amazing. What a leap to make.
Well, I love how they're all confused. They're like, "What was that about?" And Cope's just like, "Sexual jealousy," and they're all like, "You're right. All right, let's move on."
You just hear someone in the background be like, "Oh yeah, Tibet. Oh yeah." We need to trust everything this man ever says. But yeah, that stuff is great. Let's go. Let's keep going with the Thomas Eckert stuff. Let's talk about the box and Catherine's stuff. Catherine has probably some of my favorite moments in these episodes because that actress is just going for it at this point, and I love
incredible.
it. Because she has not given a lot in these episodes, but you can feel the conversation she had with herself in her trailer, where she's like, "You're gonna do the best work you've ever done with this. It doesn't matter what you're given; it matters what you do with it."
I've got to make him feel that Butterfingers insult.
Yeah. So the puzzle box. Let's. I mean, the puzzle box is kind of the last vestiges of Thomas Eckert's plan on this. Now that that woman's just in jail, I guess.
Yeah.
So I will say, great opening. A great thing to like make someone have to drop the very fancy box you gave them to open it. That's a good like reverse psychological move. And then the system that is keeping that second lock closed, which is all the moons. I want to bring this up because it bothers me every time I see it. And when Andrew Packard is playing with it and he's like, Thomas's birthday, there's 8 moons on there.
It's just the phases of the moon.
Yeah, is that what he's doing? Is just like doing it in moon time? Like,
Yeah. That's what I was wondering too. I'm like, there's symbols around it, so maybe I was like, oh, maybe those symbols also mean something different.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of you know what those symbols were.
No. I didn't really look
If those were like horoscope symbols or something, but
yeah.
I wondered the same thing. I'm like, were they like your last 3 birthday moons? Like what? What are you doing?
I have a theory.
Oh, good.
And I would like to discuss this theory in the form of a story. Once upon a time, I did an escape room with my family, and it was some like futuristic. We have to escape like this space station escape room, and we got to one of the final rooms, and there's a lot more we needed to do. And my brother Matthew, he started pushing random buttons on this pad, and the door opened. And then some guy came in, looked at us, and just slowly closed the door. And so we had to figure out 50 other puzzles just to get to the end where we press those buttons and the door opens. But we figured it out on our own, and this is exactly what Thomas Eckert did. He was just pressing buttons, and he didn't. It wasn't his birthday or whatever. The date he gave you the box.
He just knew if he wasn't able to justify his actions, Catherine would have taken control of the situation. He's like, oh yeah, no, this is his birthday. Okay, he's logging it away. It's just trial and error. He's gone through 70 combinations. It's like, this is our dad's birthday. It's not those 3. Yeah, that was great. And then they found. I mean, going along with your space analogy, what looked to me like a rock from space.
It was, I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Unequivocally.
Yeah, they never do answer what that was in these episodes.
Yeah.
Right.
Excited to see
What
what
is
that
it?
is.
Yeah,
whatever
can't
that
wait.
is.
Can't wait for the payoff.
Oh no.
That sounds facetious. I
no
just don't have anything else to say about it.
I have been playing Skyrim again, so immediately my thought was, oh, you could craft some nice shit with that. But check it out, you might be over encumbered, so make sure you can carry it with the
It's
weight.
going to take you 12 minutes to walk over to the anvil. When you get there, you're going to have a dope sword. So yeah, anything else with like the Thomas Eckert stuff? That like really just kind of came and left.
Yeah.
It's just a collection of weird plots at this point that don't seem. I mean, there's still a little bit more, obviously, with revealing whatever that object was.
Yeah.
But I don't know. People I'm done with. I was done with Josie for a long time.
Yeah.
And anything attached to her, which includes Eckert, I was just like, all right.
Yeah, that's why I'm so glad a lot of these like subplots that are just so uninteresting are kind of like tapering off.
Yeah.
Can we talk about Andy and Lucy?
Let's do it. Yeah, let's talk about Andy and Lucy.
Their relationship is just becoming more and more endearing with some of the scenes they have, and I really love it.
Yeah, Yeah, that because that kind of started. We kind of see the results of last week, like the fashion show.
Yeah.
Where Dick was being a real dick and got attacked by the weasel, and since then, like Lucy is definitely way more warm towards
Team
Andy. And that's fun. I really enjoy all of that stuff. That scene is the first scene that we see them in, the one where he's coming down from the ceiling.
Yeah.
I wrote in my notes, ninjas? What is this?
The world's slowest ninjas. Just a rope drops, and they're like, now we leave that for 3 days until they have forgotten that it's there.
Worst ninjas dropping rope at the front desk.
Right in front of
Broad daylight.
reception. Yeah, that scene is genius.
It's
like,
wonderful.
That's a scene that I look at from like a production standpoint, and I'm like, I wonder how many takes it took. And like, did you have to like raise him back up a little bit and be like,
Right.
do that line again, so we can have some continuity and you descending? The scene just ends when he gets to the floor and she can't see him anymore. It's like Lucy has object permanence issues.
I guess he's gone forever.
And he's dead. Like, it's so weird. But yeah, I love that. And also the pronunciation of spelunking. The most Andy way to dive into a cave.
Yeah. I just love how that dynamic is returning.
Yeah.
I feel like we haven't seen that dynamic for a while, and it's great.
Yeah. And I think we get to see that on full display too at the wine tasting, which is one of my favorite scenes in these episodes. Because as much shit as we talk about Dick Tremaine, it's fun to see him as like full Dick, like just being like the
fun to see his
most
full
Tremaine.
dick.
Yeah, I want to see full Dick on screen, and it's so good.
I just love how every time it cuts back to that scene, he's got more wine soaked into his nose
Yeah.
bandage.
Yeah. Also, I will say the moment the thing when he's like, "Well, what did we taste in that bouquet?" And Lucy's like, it was kind of woody," and he's just like, "No, no." And then Lana Milford's just like,
Banana.
yeah, she does that dumb lip smack thing as if she's actively like seeking out the taste. Bananas? Yes. It's so good.
And you don't drink that! I love that scream because it's like, it's so intense, and it wouldn't be funny if it cut back to him and we saw him scream.
Yeah.
It just still stays on Andy. We just hear him in the back yell.
Yeah, and then Andy spits his wine back into his glass. It's so good.
And I didn't even like really think about Lucy being pregnant and being at the wine tasting event until she brought that up at the
Yeah,
end. I
right.
was like, I'm a fucking idiot. Like, I should have been more concerned from the beginning of that scene.
Well, yeah, and I think that's an example though of something that they weren't really writing about that for the last several episodes. Like, that was kind of the big thing that instigated the whole Andy, Dick, and Lucy stuff. But then they introduced a way more interesting thing that's like, is this child the son of Satan? And then we never saw him again. And like, I also forgot she was pregnant. Like, it's such a weird thing. But yeah, it is good to see of the side plots and of the soap opera stuff. I mean, I don't even know that's as soap opera as anything. It's just sitcom-y. It's just like situational comedy. That stuff is really fun, and it
That like doesn't fit into the plot, it feels like, at all. Like,
right, yeah,
it's just, I mean, it's part of the Woodlands thing, but that's
Yeah.
such a stretch.
yeah,
It just feels like we got a good idea for some gags. Let's.
yeah, and it's like one of those things. Like, it's just Twin Peaksy enough that it's like, yeah, this feels fine. Like, it's fun to watch. I love these characters.
I think it's definitely one of those things that's like, it doesn't add a lot to really the overarching narrative or the show or anything, but at least it's entertaining to watch.
Yeah.
At least it's not like the
Yeah.
last 3 episodes where I wanted to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's worth noting is because it's like, what really is the overarching plot of the show at this point? You know what I mean? Like, it's like the Wyndham Earle stuff, but it doesn't. It's never felt as definite as Who Killed Laura Palmer. Like that.
Right.
That was such a simple question, and that show was in service of that question. And now it's not knowing the question that the writers are trying to answer, that they're trying to lead you to. It's odd. It's a little weird. I guess it's like, what is the Black Lodge? I don't know.
Yeah,
Like, I
for
guess
me,
that's
like
maybe
the plot for me surrounds the supernatural elements.
Yeah.
Where it's like, all right, what is happening at, what are the experiments or the investigations these government entities are doing in Twin Peaks, and do we get answers to these supernatural crazy things that are happening?
Right.
And so I really hope that's those are the answers that we get.
I mean, I definitely agree. That's the part that's like hooking me and keeping me one of the parts I enjoy the most. It definitely doesn't, as we talked about before, it doesn't show up enough, and it's not woven into everything else enough to make it feel like it's the main plot, even though it is. But yeah.
I mean, that's just what I tell myself to keep myself interested. Especially these 3 episodes that we watched this week were considerably better than the last 3 we watched.
Yeah.
In my opinion, just because I feel like they focus more on that stuff and less on the just awful, terrible plots and weasels and whatnot.
Oh my gosh. But we're just hearing more and more about those damn weasels constantly. Let's talk about Ben Horn real quick while we're here.
We get another glimpse of his son.
And his pecs.
Yeah.
Ah!
I love how that's the way that scene is introduced, and then it's silent until they're about ready to cut away. And you just get one more yell, and then we're gone.
Yeah, also I thought they're like, oh, they're going to address that he exists again. Nope, no one even mentions him.
Yeah, it's poor Johnny Horn. That is one of the things you're like, if anyone's truly hurting from Laura Palmer dying, it's probably Johnny Horn. Because she had like a meaningful, positive relationship with him, and seemingly no one is stepping into that void to help him, which, fuck those guys. But yeah, so Ben Horn, where are you guys standing on Ben Horn? I feel like the arc of him has been like, he's trying to be a good person now. Do you guys buy that?
I definitely don't buy it. He's got a lot of carrots. For a bad person, I mean. He eats well.
I mean, if he was on a Saturday morning cartoon in the 50s, he would clearly be the good guy. Yeah. He's eating all them carrots.
But yeah, that's, I don't know. I definitely don't buy it, and I am kind of, I don't know. I get exhausted with the energy they're putting into trying to make me buy it, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't mind the plot necessarily. It's just the lengths at which they go to in some scenes. I'm like, okay. I mean, it's kind of everything with him this season is like the whole, war reenactment was entertaining, but it also overstayed its welcome a bit.
Yeah.
And that's kind of everything they're doing with him, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I just feel like every good thing that he's doing is just to help himself. Like, he's not doing it to be good. He's doing it to stop Catherine from capitalizing on that land she wants to develop and stuff.
Yeah.
So
what is it that Donna's dad tells him when they're having their conversation? It says something about
all your good things.
Yeah,
I can't remember how that ends, but
he may be trying to be good. Like, it might be authentic, but inevitably that's it doesn't matter because it's just who Ben Horn is. And
I wish I could remember what he said. Physician is telling him this too.
Well, I mean, that is the plot that they introduced to fill the James void and give Donna something to do is who's her daddy?
That pisses me off.
Just so bizarre, and man, it doesn't do anything for that character. Just watch her following people around over and over constantly, and
it reminds me, in a weird connection way, of in Prometheus, where it's just randomly revealed that Wayland's her father, Charlize Theron's.
Yes.
It's like, okay, what was the point of that?
Who cares?
Yeah. That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. It's not like I've been sitting here being like, who the hell is Donna's real dad? Because Doc Hayward's too cool.
And probably too old. Let's be honest.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Possibly.
I just really wanted to come out that Jerry's her dad, like not Ben and Jerry.
My goodness, that would be incredible.
That'd be great.
Definitely got a personality from her mother. Then, goodness.
Yeah. The man, the stuff. I also think it's kind of a bummer. We haven't seen a lot of Eileen Hayward. She's just kind of been in the background of stuff, and they finally give her some stuff to do, and it's not great. It's not all that compelling. I don't feel like.
I mean, okay. Here's how you make this interesting. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's plenty of ways if you're going to go as ridiculous as I'm about to say.
Okay. You're really opening it up, is what you're telling me. Okay.
I mean, you got the possibility that, Ben Horn's her dad. And the shot of, like, her and Audrey looking through the thing, it's like they're sisters, right? Half-sisters. There's got to be some, like, Wonder Twins action going on of some, like... Because there's so much of, like, two becoming one, like, parasites getting in. Like, that's how you beat them, is they got to morph into one into one horn sister.
We're going full anime on this, is what you're telling me. There's going to be a fusion dance.
There's going to be a hyperbolic chamber where they go in. Time passes normal on the outside, so they can train more. Mecha robots somewhere.
Mechadonna. That's what's missing.
Mm-hmm. And that's how they beat Giant Bob. Twin Peaks, they're the twins. Oh, shit.
Here it is. Here we go.
And yeah, they had to destroy the cloning facility.
Right, which we've yet to see.
All my predictions are
crazy.
Season 3's coming. All my predictions are coming together, and I think I might be right on this one.
I mean, I can't confirm or deny, but you're getting warmer.
He winked, everyone. So
yeah. Anything else with Ben Horn? I mean, he has that scene with Dick where Dick's like, I mean, I did get hurt at a work function, so possibly some workers' compensation, please.
He pulls out a carrot. The urge to do bad is so hard to suppress.
Yeah, true Ben appears in that moment. Okay. I wish that they brought back the thing that they did with Little Nicky of that thought bubble from Annie's head, and there was just a literal Ben Horn in a devil outfit, like whispering that in his ear. That would make this way worth it.
Him just beating the shit out of Dick Tremaine.
Yeah,
but with like a large mallet.
But also, his devil self is dressed up like Robert E. Lee. So we know that part of him's not dead yet. So yeah, that stuff goes. Let's stay in the family. Let's talk about Audrey.
Yeah.
She gets made love with.
For the first time, that's very clear.
Yeah,
I'm
on
a
a
virgin.
jet. Oh God, yeah.
I mean, in a pre 9/11 world, I guess you can just take off whenever you want to, and delay your
There was
flight.
a furious air traffic controller somewhere in rural Washington. Yeah.
It's like a James Bond moment where they're like, what's going on? Why is the flight delayed? And there's like no one but they can like hear like sex sounds in the background. Like, what is going on at the end of this plane?
And
like,
someone just pointedly turns the volume down to 0.
Man, the thing is, Pete was out there the entire time. You know he knew what was going on, all right?
does she know who Pete is? Because she comes up to him and is like, do you have a car?
Oh, she has to
Also,
know.
do you have plans? Why are you here at the hotel? He's like, well, I gotta help this virgin girl get laid.
I'm not going to touch that. There are a couple times in these episodes where like people, it's like they're trying to insinuate like, oh, we don't know each other. Who are you? We don't know each other. Like when Donna's like, does my mom know Ben Horn? It's like, I've been led to believe everyone does. Like, I don't know. It's weird. It feels like, I don't know if we've talked about it on this podcast, but like Twin Peaks, when Mark Frost and David Lynch wrote it, the population was 5,120 people. It was a very small town. And the network was like, you got to move that decimal place one more. So that the population on the sign was 51,210 people. Because they're like, we can't make a show about that small of a town. And I feel like there are moments when those two visions
collide.
Yeah,
and they
especially
clash.
like this season, the idea that you can have a pageant,
Yeah.
you need to have more than 5,000 people, I would think. At what point is your city big enough to have its own pageant?
Especially when the prize is a scholarship to the college of your choice. Like any school,
Yeah.
you can have a scholarship
Yeah.
there.
I'm like, the way
Do
this
you
is
have the
worded,
authority
it
to
sounds
give
like,
that out? I didn't even think about that. Like,
well, that's the thing. I'm like, I feel like the way you've worded this is you're going to give me a check for $2,000 and encourage me to use it at a college.
Here's your scholarship.
nope.
But have you tasted the pie in this town?
It's a lifetime supply of pie right there. Which also possible prediction is it's the pie that makes it making everyone shake.
Oh.
Someone's Wyndham Earl has poisoned the pie at the Double R, and everyone who's eating it is getting the shakes.
Well, when I first the first person that they show you shaking is this little old woman just at the
Like
bar,
a stranger.
and I'm like, oh my goodness, so why isn't anyone helping her? Like she's having a seizure, and then like nothing else happens. And they
It's
cut to
just
the
an
other
old
scene.
person shaking.
Just an old shaky person.
Honestly, that feels like a microcosm for the second season because you're like, oh, what's going on? This is weird. Camera pans over. Just Bobby and Shelley arguing. It's like, this is where our priorities are at this point.
And they like play that sound when her hand shakes so that you
Yeah.
know that something weird is happening.
Yeah.
But then they don't
When
address
everyone's
it.
handshake, it does that sound.
Yeah.
And then you just hear Shelley go, let's kick butt for our environment.
Oh, I was like 100% sure that Bobby wrote that, but then he's like, oh, let's change that. I'm like,
Yeah. Whatever.
Man, Bobby, he goes from being like,
I'm sorry, that's
just-
Ben Horn's best boy to you.
Which we learned some of his duties in these episodes when Ben Horn sees him out in public and is just like, make sure you get my dry cleaning. And says nothing and walks away.
Oh, he meant bitch boy. Gotcha.
He's training in business. All right.
It's like every business major at UVU. What are you going into? I'm going into business. Oh yeah, what do you want to do with that degree? I'm going to be a businessman.
It's like one time
See you when you drop out in 3 years.
One time I was talking to my cousin when he was in like middle school, and he was talking about going to college, and I was like, "What are you going to study at college?" And he was like, "College, duh." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
Makes
That's what that
sense.
feels like.
This is a curious mind. He wants to know what it is. I love the just complete indignance.
Yeah.
You idiot.
And we were all like, oh, "Okay, you're going places."
I hope he listens.
He definitely does it, right? Is it who I'm
He's
thinking
currently
it is?
in Africa.
Okay,
so.
yeah. Okay, it is who I was thinking.
Studying college.
Yeah.
The birthplace of college.
Cradle of colleges everywhere. Oh gosh. Okay. So yeah. So let's talk about the Miss Twin Peaks pageant a little bit. They really don't want to let Lana Milford go. They are doing everything they can to keep her in the show.
Well,
and-
I honestly thought that whole subplot was over, and we were never going to
Yeah.
see them ever again. But they're back.
Unfortunately, you're wrong.
when you throw in a pageant, you can't keep her away.
I honestly don't mind some of the scenes with old man. What is it, Milford?
Yeah,
The
Dwayne
mayor?
Milford.
He's pretty great sometimes. He has some funny lines. His laugh is just great to me.
Yeah,
After his dumbass jokes.
I do like when Ben Horn comes and he's like, "This should be about the environment," and he's like doing this whole dumb thing, and he walks away, and Dwayne Milford just goes, "His ideas have merit. His ideas have merit." Just like says it louder again. But yeah, so they're fixing the pageant, which
And Dr. Hayward doesn't see through that bullshit at all. He's like,
Yeah.
oh, that's a good idea. Like,
yeah.
idiot.
But Lana seems to be the only one who actually wants to be in the pageant. Everyone else is kind of being forced.
Yeah, because Audrey is forced by her dad. Donna, I don't know why Donna's doing it. Doesn't have anything else to do.
There's
Yeah.
nothing better to do.
And then Shelley, Bobby's being a little dick and is making Shelley do it.
Gosh, yeah,
Oh, Nadine is there because she wants to be there.
yeah. Nadine wants to
I
be
want her
everywhere.
to win.
Oh, man, yeah. Between Nadine and what is the Milford woman? Widow
Lana.
Milford? Lana?
Yeah.
Yeah, that should be a battle for the ages.
Yeah, for sure.
Heather Graham's character,
Annie.
who I don't care about, yeah, she volunteers because she's in love, and she hears the voice of God tell her that I don't know, like what's going on with her.
Yeah,
but she chooses to. And
let's talk about Annie and Coop. Cooper has a romantic relationship. Not necessarily something I care to see. Like, I don't know. It's one of those things I'm like, maybe, you know, if the plan had gone forward, him and Audrey had gotten together, it would have sucked. Because, well, okay. The thing about Annie is I feel like on paper, I really like her character. Even dialogue-wise. I think she's got some great lines, and she's interesting. There's some interesting complexities to that character. Heather Graham is extremely young. Like, I think she's probably the youngest member of the cast at this point.
Is she younger than...
She's like 19, I think, when she was on Twin Peaks. And it kind of shows.
Her character's supposed to be older than that, though, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I mean, he was having some sort of relationship beginnings with someone who was just out of high school.
Right, yeah.
So
yeah.
He's still in high school.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Yeah.
Explicitly
Yeah,
stated.
because she doesn't go, and they don't highlight that at all.
But now she's in business.
She's working now.
But yeah,
I think her there are times when she delivers lines, and I'm like, that's just not the right read for that line. I don't know. To me, that's how I read it. And
for someone as larger than life as Cooper, like, she's not good enough for him because she's dull.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, her backstory could be interesting, but her performance is so flat that it's like, no. And I think it worked with Audrey, and I think it could work with Audrey if they kept going, because I don't think we would ever see a lot of the same types of conversations we're seeing between Coop and, I've already forgotten her name, Heather Graham, Annie. Yeah. And but with Audrey, I feel like they would have played it a little bit more. We're only seeing the things that formed like the beginnings of their relationship, or in circumstances that most normal people wouldn't find themselves in a relationship, like being kidnapped into a brothel and stuff like that. Like, whereas this, it's like, nope, he just legitimately asks her out on a date, and is like, it's not how I like seeing Cooper. Very like, he doesn't seem like he has that. He's not him. Right now.
No, it does not feel like him at all. I'm not a huge fan of the dynamic, and it just seems odd to me that this is something that they would write into the show. At the same time, Cooper has been dealing with a lot of his past trauma with Wyndham Earle and his former love interest.
Yeah, they feel at odds with each other.
Yeah,
those
very
two
much
things,
so.
for sure.
I don't think this is what's happening, but at one moment I'm like, oh, this could be interesting where they go after this, even though it technically ended after this.
Right.
Of what if Cooper is actually just using her as bait for Wyndham Earle, and he has no feelings for her.
That's pretty fucked up.
I could never see a character like Cooper doing that.
Yeah, well, the problem is, I mean, like, that's, in my mind, I'm like, okay, that's an interesting change you make to, like, or maybe he does care somewhat for her, but he also is using her, and then it's like, afterwards, everyone has to deal with knowing this information about him, and kind of people's change of view on him, I think, could be interesting.
That would be interesting.
But I think that's kind of some irreparable harm you commit to the audience view of him.
Yeah. Well, and again, I don't know. That's a bad thing. You know what I mean? It is one of those things. Because I do feel like with the Earl stuff, it does hint that there's this darker side to Cooper. That there are these more like reckless and self-serving tendencies, which could be fun to explore. And I think would have been that's what should have happened in the back half of this season when Wyndham Earle shows up, is more confronting of those things, but. I don't know. Whatever. There's a lot that we could talk about there, but yeah, the relationship, it just doesn't really work for me. It's not really interesting. Those scenes feel long, and there's a lot of them. I will say in the back half of the season, there's a lot of scenes that I feel like are doing the same things over and over with characters, which is something that I actually enjoy about the first, 16, 17 episodes of this show, is that every scene does feel like it's moving something forward, and you're getting
the first season especially feels like when we talked about it at the very beginning, how shocked we all were, like how quickly we got answers to certain things and we moved on to something else, whereas now we definitely aren't.
Yeah, for sure. So let's switch gears. Let's talk about the relationship everyone is rooting for. Gordon Cole and Shelley Johnson. Let's just start with Gordon Cole showing up. What a breath of fresh air that man brings to the screen.
For real.
Yeah.
I don't think these episodes would have been nearly as good without Gordon Cole.
Yeah.
So great. So many great lines.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of some of the ridiculous things.
And some of my favorite scenes in this entire show, I think, are his ones with Shelley Johnson are so incredible. And also, I will say, the moment that I think is so stupid and I don't understand, but I also love, is when he's like, a bonsai tree. You remember that show, Coop? Bonsai! And he just yells into this mic, like, he's yelling at a tree. In his mind, he's yelling bonsai at a bonsai tree, but we know now there's a microphone in there that Wyndham Earl is listening to. No one else knows that. Like, it's the most bizarre thing.
At first, I was like, "Oh, do they all know?" And like,
Yeah.
but yeah, then that passed. I was like, "I
didn't.
guess they don't."
Yeah. But yeah, so Gordon Cole goes to the Double R with Coop and Truman, shares the hangover cure with Truman again, which has happened to the poor guy twice. Dale just describes the grossest shit, so he'll go throw up. That's the cure, I guess.
It's working.
Yeah. And then Gordon does that again. That whole scene where he is talking to Dale Cooper is I think one of my favorite. It's such a great scene because it's simple. It is rooted in reality. Like the fact that Cooper yells Shelley Johnson's name and she's just like, what the hell? Like, why is, and Cooper's just like, it's cool. I'm just talking to this man. But also that whole lead in, like all those lines that Gordon Cole has where he's, the type of girl that makes you wish you spoke a little French. And he's like, reminds me of the statue of the babe without the arms. It's so good. And you really do, like, you understand this is probably Dale Cooper in 60 years or whatever, you know what I mean? Like in 40 years, however long it is. Like, they're just going to be these old men yelling the same things at each other.
Some of the things he says, like, I'd love to share an anecdote of no small amusement. Who phrases things like that? The word linkage reminds me of sausage.
Never liked the links, so always preferred the patties.
Right.
That's the way he is. But I will say, that performance with Shelley Johnson, him gaining his hearing back, just being able to hear one person, and the way he yells at everyone he can't hear and talks to her in this normal, sweet voice, and it is just delightful. Like that's like a perfect distillation, I feel like, of Twin Peaks. When it's away from the supernatural, it's just a story about these goofy, weird people interacting in ways that we never thought we'd see people interact, and it's just delightful. Like it's pure joy in that scene. And then we watch Cooper flirt, which is bad.
Yeah.
I
think that's a part of what bugs me is like, this man wouldn't be bad at flirting.
Yeah.
This man would be very good at it, and this is not it.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Yeah.
Does anyone kind of? I mean, I love it because I love the character, but does it seem like Gordon Cole's so much older than Shelley?
Yeah.
Well, that's why I'm like, oh, he's really going for it. He's going for the kiss. Okay.
Yeah.
And it just seems a little odd that she's beautiful and it's this old showrunner that comes in and is this character who's kissing her. It just seemed a little weird to me. But at the same time, because of what's happening in the story, I'm like, they have to end up together because there is like some sort of magical power that is making him hear her. Like, they're destined for each other, or that has to work into the plot somehow to like change things.
Yeah.
One of those two things has to happen, or I don't know. I'll fight someone. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it does.
I'll fight Marcus.
I mean,
Oh no, please no.
it does instigate like Bobby being like, seeing you kiss that other guy. made me realize I'm a dick. And she's like, yeah, you were a dick. And he's like, oh, and she's like, wow. And then they're back together, like, whatever.
That's going to happen 4 more times between within the next 2 episodes, right?
Yeah. I mean, we all know what Bobby and Shelley, though, right? That's like a real couple in real life. That's like, glad they ended up together so that they didn't ruin anyone else.
Yeah.
But like,
I mean, I have a friend who kissed an old man in front of her boyfriend.
Right.
It's the exact same situation ensued. Yeah. It was wild.
Yeah, I'm just hoping to move into that second bracket soon. You know what I mean? I just want to be that. So, yeah, that's... I'm just delighted to see Gordon Cole again.
Same.
I love that character. Yeah, and he does bring some information that plays into maybe the bigger picture. He does reveal that Wyndham Earle was working on Project Blue Book, which is what Major Briggs was also working on, is the alien thing that was then relegated to just looking at the woods around Twin Peaks. But yeah, so we've kind of talked about the Dale stuff outside of that. The relationship with Annie is whatever. So let's talk a little bit about kind of the bigger stuff, the Wyndham Earle stuff and the cave stuff. I will say one of my least favorite characters in Twin Peaks, and he doesn't have very much screen time, but man, I want to rip my fucking hair out, is the guy that Wyndham Earle kidnaps. Yeah. Is the dumbest, most asinine bullshit to be in this show. Where's my beer, man? He's just doing like the voice that everyone can do to make fun of people into hair metal in the 80s. Like, oh my god.
Dude, when you're stuck in a fucking paper mache tube in some weird guy's cabin, you know you're not getting any beer anymore.
I don't appreciate practical jokes, man.
Oh, my favorite of practical jokes. Slowly building a giant chess piece around somebody's body after promising them beer that they're not going to get.
Good one.
What a punchline.
Man, if you'd have told me that this isn't a scene in this show, I wouldn't have believed you. All right, so basically some dude kidnaps this like hippie dude, starts building a giant paper mache chess piece around him slowly. And then he shoots him with a mini crossbow while he's in there.
And Leo is all of a sudden, like, squeamish about killing people.
Oh, God.
Leo is like... well, there was that scene
like, bring me the arrow. And he's like, no.
Well, Leo stole his, like, own shock collar, like, controller, right? Yeah. And I was like, okay, something's going to happen here. He's going to somehow, like... At least he's not getting shocked anymore. Or he's going to find some way to, like, get the shock collar to Wyndham or something. But he forgets what it is, and he shocks himself multiple times.
Yeah.
That was pretty bummer.
The lengths they go to in this half of season 2 to try to make you feel bad for Leo Johnson is the dumbest shit. I hate that man. Like, that man is a serial abuser. Yeah. Like, he's a coke dealer, just will, like, kill people. And now, like, because he's been, like, shot... I mean, Bobby and Shelley did him dirty when he was paralyzed. But I don't understand how I'm supposed to feel bad for him or get the idea that he's changed all of a sudden. Like, when he sees the pictures of Shelley, and now it's like they're trying to pitch it as this thing of, like, oh, he's got to save Shelley. I've got, you know what I mean? Like, I got to take care of my wife. Yeah. Like, come on.
Yeah, I couldn't tell. I was like, are we supposed to root for this?
Yeah.
Like, I was very confused.
Yeah, it is a convoluted, weird thing at this point. But yeah, so then that chess piece is dumped in the park in a giant box, which they don't want to open being near to it.
Under a gazebo.
Smart move. So what we're going to do is tie caution tape to a rock, and Cooper's going to shoot it off a ledge to pull the lever.
That was kind of badass.
Dude, well, I sound like an idiot if before that happened, I thought, you know what you do? You tie a rock to the handle on a really long rope, and then you just
that's what I thought he was going to do.
That's what I thought, too.
But that was like before you even started. I was like, oh, that's what I would do in that moment. And then he started. I was like, oh, I'm a genius.
Well, honestly, that's a better idea. Why would I'm pretty sure as a law enforcement officer, what you should be focused on. I'm not going to speak for them by any means. You should be avoiding discharging your weapon
Yeah,
as much
come
as
on.
possible.
I was gonna say, like,
was
there wasn't much
badass.
warning, so like the people who had just carried off evidence, like, hear gunfire, like, shit.
And then you just hear someone in the background going like, "Oh, it's a bat. Yep, it's a bat."
He knows what he's doing. Come on, like when you just see Coop when he just in his element, when he knows what he's doing, and everyone's like, I don't know what the fuck he's doing, but we just gotta go with it, and he just cocks his new gun, walks away.
I didn't realize this is literal hours after they've given him a weapon again. After the federal government has given the man a gun again. He's like,
I
gotta fucking use this shit. I did not make that connection.
My revolver could not have moved that rock enough.
Oh gosh. But yeah, so another death has happened. No one yet that we care about has been a victim of this game, which makes it a hard game to care about.
Please be done.
But yeah, so let's kind of talk about the.
I have a prediction.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah. Prediction.
All right, here's what's going to happen. So basically, Wyndham Earl is planning on killing whoever wins the Miss Twin Peaks pageant.
Right.
We all know Nadine's going to win because she's badass and super tough, and she has an eye patch. She's going to win. Wyndham Earl's going to somehow try to devise a plan to kill her, but good luck because Nadine is the Incredible Hulk, and she's going to fucking kill him. She's going to eat him
Nadine
30
kills
feet in the
Wyndham Earl.
What
I
a
will be
season
blown
finale!
away. Yeah.
that would be incredible. So I'm really hoping that happens. I see a lot of. I see everything leading to that. I don't see anything else.
What if Mike takes a bullet to save her because he's that in love?
Well, then honestly, the show would continue to have people die who I don't care about. So
Yeah. Well, that's we'll know next week. We're getting to the end. That's we're
Well, Mike,
right at the.
I'll just feel bad that Mike's no longer getting that super strength technique of whatever.
Yeah,
I
honestly,
feel like I was supposed to get something there. I'm like, I don't get it.
I don't know if I'm just not adventurous enough, but I was thinking about it. I was like, I don't.
That doesn't sound pleasant.
There's
Whatever's going on.
I'd have to connect a lot of dots to get to where I'd want super strength in the bedroom.
It sounds like some painful hernias are gonna happen in unpleasant places.
I mean, I do love getting bruised after being thrown against the wall. So yeah,
Mike likes
okay,
it
I
rough.
see the benefit.
And then Bobby's like, "Wow!"
Bobby's just completely blown away that that is a possibility.
Shelly, we gotta try this.
oh no,
Shelly's super strong. So let's talk about the Owl Cave stuff and the major. I guess we'll just call this the Major Briggs story because he's the guy that shows up whenever we get information.
Anytime
about this.
it cuts to him, I'm like, "Sweet!" Like I get excited.
let's go.
I do want to get this. Did you think that when we started this show that Major Briggs would be a character that you would think that about at the end of this show?
Not quite to that extent, no. But I was excited for what he was working on because I'm like,
Right, yeah,
Because
yeah.
at the beginning, I was like, guys, there's a
That's true, yeah,
military general, and I was like, yeah, but this stuff. I'm like, a military general with more than 4 patches underneath his nameplate
He's
is
in a
in
city-
Twin Peaks.
He's in a city with a population of 5,000 people. Actually, it's 51,000. Oh, you're right. That's totally normal.
Back when it was 5,000, that was a big deal. And so, I was excited for whatever that was going to be. I did not think that he himself was going to be like, I mean, there's just even certain shots of him, like, with who he is and his personality, but just to see that man sitting on, like, a throne in the woods floating, and him in, like, a World War I pilot outfit,
Yeah,
I'm excited every
really
time he's
good.
on screen.
good. So yeah, Owl Cave is basically revealed to them by Annie because she sees Cooper doodling this thing that's a combination of what we've seen on the Log Lady and triangles, which we've seen 3 of on Major Briggs, that we're not really given any notion of why. But at this point, I guess we're just supposed to trust that Cooper is tied into some.
Why did Annie know it was there again?
Because it's a symbol that's in Owl Cave. Which
why
is
why was she at Owl Cave?
It's just a place that
is it like from her childhood
go.
or something that she like would go up
I
there?
think it's because even Truman knows what Owl Cave is, but he doesn't necessarily recognize that symbol right away. So I think it's just like a place, like probably a place you'd go to make out or something. Like that's at least the feeling I get from that. It's just like this well-known place around Twin Peaks. But yeah, so they spelunk out there. And we get some delightful owls. We get more of those just sweet-ass 90s owls flying around. And I don't know if it's just because they're like, well, we introduced this pretty late in the season, but we can't really spend a lot of time figuring something out here. So Andy flails around and hits his pick in just the right place to open the secret door so that the lever comes out. I don't know, like... whatever. And then Wyndham Earl shows up and does his thing and causes more drawings to appear on the wall, which we then have Andy recreates in the sheriff's station, and Briggs, and we get the revelation that Briggs is familiar with this whole thing, that he saw it in a dream. And that we later find out he saw the night that he disappeared when he was out with Cooper out night fishing.
When he's on a giant bullseye.
Yes. Oh my. Yeah, that interrogation is weird. But yeah, what do you guys think about that? I know that's like, this is the stuff that I think most of us are probably the most interested in at this point, kind of the more supernatural stuff that's tied into that. Where are you guys at? What do you guys think about that at this point?
I think it's cool. I think it's kind of a fun thing to do. Like, oh, like look at this cave. We have these secret drawings and messages that we have to figure out. The only problem I have is who the fuck is this Cappy guy that just comes in?
I had that same thought.
You think you could just come in the show and everybody knows you? No, get the fuck out of here.
My wife missed the part where it first shows Major Briggs hand him something. He walks out of the room. And so, like, all of a sudden, like, the camera cuts over and he just kind of, like, enters frame. My wife's like, who the hell is this?
Oh, it's Cappy, the bookhouse boy. Don't you know?
Like, Katie, he's been in the show for
the whole time.
He's one of the OG bookhouses. Like,
bookhouse. Yeah, he's great.
But yeah, so the part where they are watching that tape of like old Wyndham Earl, like, talking about it,
that was
like really cool, and that's like, oh, this is what I wanted that character to be more of.
Yeah,
and it was one of those moments that, like, feels different, feels kind of like the moments from season 1 that were more supernatural that I really love, and so that part was really cool. But also kind of depressing because it's like, oh, Wyndham Earl's a giant paper mache building man, crazy lunatic.
That man's been reduced to doing crafts around drunk hippies in the woods.
Yeah, it's disheartening.
Yeah, I will say we get a lot of lodge talk in these episodes, which I think is directly related to Mark Frost becoming more involved in stuff before the end of the season, and.
It's kind of revealed Wyndham's kind of motivations a little bit more too. He is looking for the Black Lodge, which you apparently can have access to use to your own advantage to access the evil,
right? Yeah,
or something like that.
Well, because he talks about there's this because earlier when he's talking to that drunk asshole, the guy who wants beer and Leo, and he's like, "Oh, the White Lodge is this beautiful place where people are great," and he's like, what a dumb place. Do you know what the cooler place is? The Black Lodge. Like, he's just so into it. And then when we see him kind of talking earlier, we get... it does a little bit also to kind of justify... I mean, we've talked about, like, what is Bob doing? Like, why is Bob doing this? Wyndham kind of sets up the Black Lodge as, like, it's just literally a place that evil grows, and... it's just evil for the sake of being evil. It just exists to be evil. And so the idea that there were these Dugpas, which is a real that's actually a part of Tibetan mysticism, there's a lot of stuff. If you want to dive into Tibetan mysticism at all, there's a lot of that shows up in Twin Peaks.
I didn't quite understand the Douglas part.
So those are allegedly like the spiritual entities.
So no, Dugpas are actually sorcerers who are part of Tibetan mysticism who had tapped into the Black Lodge and knew how to use it to accomplish their own goals. So essentially, Wyndham
is that
Earl,
part of Tibetan mysticism? Is the Black Lodge?
No.
Oh.
That's just Dugpas are like Dugpas were this like force. This
and
force
so I bet
of
they
evil.
were pretty pissed when this came out. They're like,
Yeah,
hey.
I'm sure. The two that had satellites and were watching Twin Peaks week to week, they were really padding the numbers for Twin Peaks at this point. But yeah, so you get the idea that it and we'll talk a lot more lore. Like lore gets a lot. We get really hot and heavy with lore kind of going forward into some of this stuff, but you kind of get the idea that Wyndham Earl is just looking to weaponize the Black Lodge, whatever that means, and whether he has a grasp on how to do that, or if he's just going to wing it when he gets there, we don't really know. But yeah, so that it is kind of interesting to see them give soft answers to those questions. You know what I mean? It's maybe not the most satisfying thing of like, this is why Bob did what he did, but it is that we know Bob is just a being of pure evil or whatever, and that he wants that. So, but yeah, that stuff's all really interesting. And that actually, it's cool to see that side of Wyndham Earl too, which I wish they'd explored a little bit more. Like Wyndham Earl's this really smart dude, apparently like pretty good at what he did. And to see that footage, you kind of see this other side of him that's like, at one point he was just this guy that was super enthusiastic about this weird research he was doing, and everyone thought he was crazy for it, you know?
And this is the first time we've ever heard of Wyndham Earl outside of anything that Coop has told us. Like right now, I mean, before these episodes, we were thinking Wyndham Earl is just after Coop, basically.
Right.
And he's just kind of this disgruntled, mentally ill former FBI agent. But now it's like, oh no, he's on his way to go to the Black Lodge and things like that. So,
oh yeah, and I guess the other thing is that the Black Lodge is a physical location. It's like an actual. There's an actual place to access it or something is introduced in these episodes. First in the Wyndham Earl speech, where he's like this actual location that's accessible that you can go into, and then also kind of confirmed towards the end of these episodes when he is looking at the Owl Cave painting and is like, it's a clock. It's telling us this specific time where these planets will be aligned or whatever, right. But also it's a map to a specific place. Near Twin Peaks or whatever. He kind of overlays it.
Bob's arm.
Yeah.
That was
it's
sick.
Really great. Yeah.
And you see the reflection of the red curtains in the water or whatever that is.
And just hear the music again. Like that is like such a great trigger for me, at least, of just like seeing that and then just those horns. And you're like, oh man, yeah. So good. But yeah, anything else around that stuff or anything else in these episodes? I feel like we kind of covered kind of the main stuff. Oh, one thing I did want to mention. Oh, we didn't mention that Briggs gets captured by Wyndham Earl.
Right.
In a horse costume.
Yeah.
So stupid.
So stupid.
Is that actor's idea too?
Probably.
Who knows? Probably.
Guys, look what I found backstage. Can we use this?
It's from Bonanza. His like... I do love the interrogation of Briggs after he's been given the like truth serum or whatever, and when he's like, "What's your greatest fear?" and Major Briggs answers the greatest thing: the possibility that love is not enough. Speaking of poetry, God damn, Mr. Briggs.
That's good.
That character's great. I think Major Briggs is such a well drawn and well performed character. Like it's just everything about him is he's like exactly what you expect and also so unexpected. Like it's such a great thing that they do with him. I guess the other big revelation that we didn't talk about when Gordon Cole shows up is he reveals that Wyndham Earl was on the same drug that Mike took, the haloperidol or whatever.
I didn't catch that.
Because
right, that's right.
Yeah, and he's like, but he was using it to fake some illness, and then he uses the phrase "real schizoid maneuvering." What? Such a bizarre thing. So they kind of are bringing a lot of these threads back together for whatever is coming.
When was the last time we saw Mike?
It's been a minute. Mike. Yeah.
Whatever happened to one-armed Mike?
Was it after he escaped out the window and that was the last we saw of him?
I'm honestly trying to remember now.
Yeah, because I think he went to find Bob, and so he just like pieced out.
Yeah, that might have been the last time we saw him, because I don't remember seeing him. I mean, he's not at the Roadhouse when they confirm that it's Leland.
I would have loved to see him as a judge for Miss Twin Peaks.
5 wall. But yeah, we haven't seen him. That's a good. I'd kind of forgotten that. So let's real quick before we kind of wrap up. I just want to get kind of some predictions or things that you're hoping to see in the next couple episodes, where you think we're gonna end up at the end of this season of Twin Peaks. Does anyone want to start? Anyone have any specific things?
I can start.
Okay.
I have a few different small theories. Like, well, we all know shit's probably going to go down at Miss Twin Peaks pageant.
Right.
Whatever
we
happens
know that
there.
it's just a pageant. That's what happens at pageants. I've been led to believe by reality television.
Right.
This shit goes down.
Right. What form that shit takes,
Right.
I don't know yet.
Yeah.
An idea that I've kind of been thinking of lately is that the place that Cooper enters in his dream state in episode 3 in season 1, that place is the Black Lodge.
Okay.
Kind of with the red curtains and kind of these people that he's meeting. That is the Black Lodge, and I really hope we see the Black Lodge in the finale in one of these episodes.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It's still kind of a mystery, but I like that it's a mystery.
Yeah,
and there's not too much to go off of.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to predict at this point. Do you have anything, Tyler?
Oh boy.
oh shit.
Tyler's predictions are the best.
So I'm thinking that at the Miss Twin Peaks pageant, Annie is gonna win.
Okay.
And then Wyndham Earl is going to kill her. However Wyndham gets taken down, I haven't figured that out in this prediction. I don't really care. He's gone somehow at that point, or at least arrested or something. No, he's arrested. They subdue him, arrest him, and then in his questioning, so Annie's dead, and Cooper's distraught, and he's like, it's revealed that he can get her back because her soul's in the Black Lodge. So he has to go there, which is in that pool of water. He jumps in.
Dude, I was thinking
like
the pool, yeah.
He jumps in, and then it's kind of like Greek mythology of having to cross the river between the afterlife, and he goes in.
Yeah.
But who's standing in his way at one point? Fucking Josie. Because little did they know, there's a back door to the Black Lodge, which is in that nightstand.
I was hoping that you were going to say, there's just this big wall, and he can't figure out how to get around it. And then Josie's face is just right in the wall.
It's less that she's in his way, and it's more like you see the fate of the damned in the Black Lodge. And she's just, something's wrong. Like she's either lost her mind, or she's in some sort of grotesque state. And he's like, oh shit, I hope that's not what Annie is. And like, then hit the guide, who is the small man who backwards speaks. There's gonna be things are gonna get trippy in the finale.
I'm so happy because the thing is, one thing I know for sure is that things are gonna get trippy.
Right.
And
David Lynch is back in the director's
and I
chair
think there's
for
gonna
this
be like
episode,
a lot of like stuff that's gonna be hard to make sense of, like starting at that point. Like when he's in the Black Lodge, we're gonna see a lot of weird imagery. We're gonna see stuff that is seemingly even unrelated, I would guess, to kind of just be weird, to be lynchy and get crazy. Anyway, he rescues the love of his life, which, yeah, and brings her back out of the water, becoming a changed man after crossing that threshold.
Cool. Okay.
Those are some cool ideas.
Yeah, those are some great ideas.
Like,
I
if
those
it plays out exactly like you just said, I would be fucking stoked.
Yeah, that's pretty rad. Riley, do you have any predictions?
I think Annie's going to win the pageant for sure. And I think that Wyndham Earl's going to take her and he's going to kind of like replay their history. So like it's going to be like she's Caroline and
The
everything.
man loves his theatrics. We know that.
Yeah, so I could see him doing something like that, and then either she dies and it kind of the cycle just goes on again, or Cooper saves her and it kind of ends that cycle and they get get Wyndham Earl and stuff. But I don't know. I think Bob's gonna have a hand in it.
Okay.
Cause everyone's hands were shaking and then his hand came through, so I feel like that's kind of telling us that was kind of everyone in the town feeling like the portal is opening for the Black Lodge.
That's
so they'll end up in there or
That's
something.
good stuff. You guys have great theories.
That's an incredible connection too, because I didn't notice until this time everyone's right hand is shaking, and that's the first. That's Bob's hand comes through is that right hand. So that's a it's a good prediction.
That's what I'm thinking.
Here's Bob Pie.
He's just been sticking his hand in the pie.
The Hank clones. The Hank clones have been cloned for the sole purpose of injecting essence of Bob into the pies at the Double R Diner, because everyone loves that fucking pie. We all know it, and they're all eating it and getting Bob ingested into them.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Again,
and
I
where
guess this is our last
where
episode.
do the calories of pie go in the human body very first? The right hand.
That's the first when you first start gaining weight, you can always tell your wrist. It's the first place. Just fattens up.
Your not wedding ring starts fitting a little tighter.
Justin, did you have any
Okay,
predictions?
I want to clear that up. That was meant as you wear your wedding ring on the left hand. That wasn't a divorce joke. Just gonna throw that out there. Just wanted to make sure there was not.
But also, if it was a divorce joke, that's fine.
Yeah.
My wife divorced me because of my weight problem. So how dare you?
Gosh, I dug myself in that hole. I feel really bad.
And then you pointed at the hole. I don't think anyone was looking at the hole.
Well, it was kind of awkward silence there for a bit. So I was like, "Oh shit, is that what everyone thought?" I'm like, now I have to say something, otherwise I look like a bigger asshole.
Oh man, Justin, please God, do you have anything?
Man, I don't have a lot to add. I think all the predictions have been fantastic. My only prediction that I have is that Cooper's ability to kind of see all this strange shit that's going on around him, I think somebody else is going to kind of get in on the game as well. I don't think that it's just going to be Cooper anymore. Who that is, obviously, I'm just kind of making that up. But
yeah, no, that's.
I think that somebody else is going to become aware of sort of this more abstract, strange, spiritual, alien shit that's happening, and now Cooper's going to have like a partner moving forward.
Cool. Yeah, because there are. I mean, we've been introduced to several people that are sensitive to that. Like, I mean, there's the Log Lady, there's Briggs. That's totally a possibility. I guess the other thing that we forgot to notice, I don't know why we didn't mention this. I think I just forgot is Cooper sees the giant again.
That's true.
Going like,
no.
You know what? That does make me think that Annie is going to win the pageant because that's when they were talking about it,
right? Yeah,
and he's like, "No, please don't do that."
Man, there's a couple times I wish I would have had a warning like that.
Seriously, yeah. Speaking of divorce,
my first marriage.
That crazy girl I asked on that date with the sword and the bomb. Oh my gosh,
we're gonna do a podcast about that sometime.
My initial thought when I saw that was like, is Annie like using Coop for something? Like, is she a plant of some kind? Like, that was a thought that I had.
She's
as well.
in cahoots.
She's somehow tied into all of this and is aware of what's going on and is being used to get Coop.
Interesting.
That's good. That's good.
That's a good read on that for sure. Cool. Well, we're going to finish up the original run of Twin Peaks. This next week. We're going to watch the last 2 episodes. And I said this off mic. I just want to mention it because, again, it's just an interesting production thing. Again, I'm going to plug it again. Reflections by Brad Dukes. Great book. If you're interested at all in production of television in general, or specifically, obviously, Twin Peaks. This second season is just fraught with just roadblocks to even getting anywhere. Like, these 3 episodes, it's a miracle even these 3 episodes we watched today exist. Like, it went on a hiatus for a while and they didn't know if they were going to bring it back. And then after these 3 episodes, there were 6 weeks between these episodes and the finale where they aired the 2 episodes back to back to end the show, which is crazy. I can't imagine waiting 6 weeks to watch that and see how this wraps up. So we're not going to wait 6 weeks. We're going to watch those this week, and we'll be back to talk about it next week. I believe Mitch will be back next week.
He's still recovering from the accident.
Thoughts and prayers. So we'll be back next week to talk about those episodes. If you have any,
Nadine.
if you have any predictions, thoughts, think we missed anything, shoot us an email at rewatchersonthenepod@gmail.com, or follow us on Twitter at rewatcherspod, and tweet us. Let us know what you think. But yeah, until then, we're going to do some recommendations after a brief break here. But signing off for our Twin Peaks talk. We don't do that here, ever. We've never done that here. I'm confused about the format of this show. We're going to go to music and come back and do recommendations. Goodbye! Welcome back from the music. Hope you enjoyed it. We're here to recommend some things to help you just fill the time between Twin Peaks. Because, listen, we're all in this together. We're going at the same pace.
We know how important this is to you.
Yeah, this is very important. You want to know what... we've got our fingers on the pulse of pop culture. Which is why we're finally doing a podcast about Twin Peaks, a show that aired almost 30 years ago.
We know some big wigs in the industry and have insider information on what shows you should be watching to waste your time.
Marcus, what do you got to recommend for us this week?
I saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Cool.
Which, did you mention that last week?
I didn't. I saw it last week. I was going to mention it, but I wanted to wait until a couple other people had seen it. Maybe.
Yeah.
I am seeing it this week.
Cool.
I got a babysitter lined up.
All right.
It's happening.
Cool.
Make it a special experience.
It'll be the first movie I've gone to in a long time.
Cool.
It'll be a good choice. Yeah. For sure, because it's super entertaining. Like, if you like Quentin Tarantino stuff, you're going to like this. The acting is incredible. Some of, I would say specifically Leonardo DiCaprio, some of his best stuff. Brad Pitt is also incredible. Incredible character, incredible writing. And just, it's not what I thought it was going to be, but it exceeded my expectations as far as like where the story went, and super great stuff.
Yeah, and we talked about it a little briefly yesterday. We talked about it in more detail, but I do think this features some of Tarantino's best writing. I'm not going to say it's his best script, because I really love Pulp Fiction, but I think that character-wise, he has written some of his more complex characters, and also emotionally resonant characters that are just really fun to watch. The performances are great, and it's really good.
There's so much to say, but it's hard without giving anything away.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk about it a little more next week after you've seen it, and we can kind of talk a little more freely.
Not yet. I'll go see it this week. So.
Oh, yeah, you want to see it too, yeah. Mm-hmm. That will be your first Tarantino movie, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. Cool.
No, maybe
it'll be interesting to get your perspective.
What do you think she should prep with?
Maybe,
do you think she should jump right in?
Maybe we should just do that as our next group of podcasts. Instead of doing an episode, we just watch
Tarantino
movies.
I had to be down.
I want to draw Tarantino in a lounge chair. So
there we go.
Riley, is there any Tarantino movie that you have been intrigued by other than this one, where you're like, I might watch that?
I can't think of any specific ones, mostly because I don't really keep track of what he's done.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Okay. All right.
It'll be
But this
interesting
one
to
looks
get like a
good. I
really
don't know.
fresh, like an untainted
okay.
perspective on what a Tarantino movie is in 2019. That'll be interesting.
I'm excited. I'm excited to hear both of your guys' perspectives.
I'll give some recommendations. They're stupid.
Okay.
Not the things themselves aren't stupid. Just the fact that I'm recommending what I'm recommending. I mean, I only have time to watch movie trailers. I don't have time to watch movies. But there's two in particular that I've watched multiple times this past week, just because, and I haven't been excited for a movie in a long time, like really, really excited. And one of them's like the Marks because he sent it out in the text of The Lighthouse. So if anyone hasn't watched the trailer for The Lighthouse, it looks like one of the most unique, interesting films that's coming out. Also, Jojo Rabbit looks great.
Looks incredible.
If you want to see a New Zealand man play Hitler, Hitler as an imaginary friend.
Yeah, Hitler seen through the eyes of a child in Nazi Germany. God damn, there's levels there.
But
very good.
Go watch both those trailers.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Riley, do you have recommendations?
So mine came about because I've been seeing a lot of like TikTok shit on like Twitter and Instagram, and it was beginning to fill the void that Vine left me with after that died. And so I downloaded TikTok, and my favorite TikToks to show people are under the hashtag divorce, because it's usually some like adult man.
Way to tie in the themes here.
I know.
Oh no!
Some adult man like listening to this song, and then at the end,
There's
he,
like 2 or 3 songs. It's
Yeah.
always one of
there's
those
2 or 3.
songs.
There's one that they do with their child, talking about when moms and dads fall out of love. There's one where they sit there with their ring and they look really sad and they take it off and throw it at the camera at the end. And it fills me with joy. And I don't know why.
Here's the thing that
I thought TikTok was supposed to be like teenagers and below.
It
Like,
mostly is.
It's
but-
tweens and just trash. It's just
yeah.
trash.
And a really sweet old lady that I feel
Yes.
bad for.
Yes.
it's a lot of trash. I don't have TikTok. I just see the ones that people post on Twitter. But
Yeah.
there's some wild stuff. And if what I'm imagining in my mind is what you're describing, like those are 100% genuine and like actual sad men who have just gotten divorced and now they're making videos of themselves on an app
On TikTok.
No,
on TikTok.
There's one that's like a police officer and he's in his car and it says like, do I keep forgiving the cheating? This is the 4th time, while he's like playing with his ring, listening to this sad song. It's amazing.
I've seen a cop one.
Yeah.
A one with
They're
him
great.
like just playing this badass music and he's like suiting up and shit and you're like, fuck this guy.
Honestly, I have not gone so far as to download TikTok, but I am following cursed TikToks on
Yes.
Twitter.
It's the best.
I watch religiously
go.
every tweet. I believe the handle is @toxic TikToks.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
and also the great thing about it is every 100th tweet is a blessed TikTok, so you get to see some like 1% good sprinkled
usually
in
an
amongst
animal
the shit.
any
TikTok.
blurst TikToks in there?
Blurst.
I've not. Well, they're. I think TikTok in its neutral state is blurst. Like just the very nature of it. Yeah. I think that you can also search just crying girl TikTok or crying dancing girl TikTok, and it's this. We'll show it. We'll show it on the
my
podcast, but
Lord.
you should find it.
So good.
But yeah, those are really good.
Guys, this is not going to be good. Oh no, no.
But yeah, if you want to kill some time, follow that
Don't.
Twitter or
Don't
download
do it.
TikTok and live your best life.
Are there TikTok compilations on YouTube? Because that's where I get all my.
I'm sure there are.
Vine
There probably are,
compilations,
yeah.
We
so,
looked up
okay.
one, and this guy kept talking in between every single one, but he was
yeah.
kind of
Hasn't had
funny.
time to
But
mature.
Here's what I'll do,
Yeah,
Justin.
It's
Yeah.
new
Okay.
enough that
I'm
it's.
All right.
I'm going to send you a Twitter thread of really cringy
Okay, all right.
TikToks, and they're great.
Yeah, cool. Those are great. Yeah, find curated TikTok sources. I would say is the best thing you can do. That's the best use of TikTok. I guess so. I'll make a quick recommendation. I didn't watch a lot this week because I was moving and stuff. But I did watch yesterday. I sat down and watched the movie Police Story, which is directed by Jackie Chan and is like one of his first movies. and it was amazing. It was very
Is
good.
he in it as well?
Yeah, he stars in it. And it's one of those things that it finally just cemented in my head. Like, Jackie Chan is basically Charlie Chaplin. Like, that is the level of commitment to physical comedy and gags that man has. And in Police Story, within the first 10 minutes, you watch him... well, there is a scene where just 6 cars drive through a shanty village and just an explosion happens at every building they hit. And every time you think they're done, they just keep going. And I don't know if it's supposed to read as comedic or like more dramatic, but I was crying. I was laughing so hard. But then after that, he steals an umbrella from someone so he can use it to hook onto the back of a bus, which he then hangs off of this bus for just 5 minutes, going in and out of windows. It's exactly what you expect from Jackie Chan. But it's also a movie. It's entirely in Chinese, and it's really fun. And
when was
he
it
made
released?
2 of them. I believe like 1980, late 80s, early 90s maybe. I think probably like early 90s. It feels very informed by American action movies of the time, like Die Hard, that kind of stuff. But obviously with like Jackie Chan's own like spin on it and stuff. But they're really great. And yeah, that's what I recommend. They're fun, like really, really great movies. But yeah, I think that's all for recommendations. Anything else? You good? Anyone else?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, next week, finishing up season 2 of Twin Peaks, and then we'll dive into. I guess I'll refer to it as modern Twin Peaks, post-network Twin Peaks, which is a whole different animal. So it'll be fun. But yeah, signing off. I'm Tyler Harris.
Marcus Marinos.
Tyler McKinley.
Riley Harris.
Justin Hammer.
See you at the pageant.